Welcome, everyone. We are live, and it is Monday, Monday. Thank you for your patience. And for who? Well, if it isn't Miss Tiffany and Javion, welcome, darlings. He might be at school already, I could be wrong. But either who, are you going to eat that? I was talking to someone yesterday, and in their response, I said to them, you know, having a law and not using it is like having a recipe. You've tried it before, you've tasted this dish before. And now you have the opportunity to make this dish for yourself. But you have the recipe sitting there, you're looking at it and you go, oh, man, that tasted so good last time, I got to do it again. And every time you walk by that recipe, you don't make it for yourself. So then I asked you, are you going to eat that? The question is very clear. When you have a recipe, the whole point is to make it and to partake of it, so that it stops just becoming a wishful thing, something you know you had once before and you'd like to do it again, but you say, oh, that is so much work. But you see, the work is worth its reward. Of course it is. Rhythm always compensates. The work that you put in is the reward you get. It's as simple as that. You know, I've got this young whippersnapper, and as you know, he's in Muay Thai, and he can't stop practicing. Every time he says, Mom, my body is so sore, my body is tired. I said, okay, well, let's get you some cupping and get you to soak in the bathtub. You'll be fine. And he's like, and he's so excited to practice. And since he's only had 2 classes, but since that, and he's been practicing, what? I am rather impressed. I said, oh my. He forgot who his mother was. I used to coach wrestling back in the day, Roman Greco wrestling. So I still remember a thing or two, you know. And so I had to, show him a thing or two. And he's like, oh, I didn't know. I said, that's right. You don't know. But the whole point that I'm trying to share with you here is this. We practice what we learn, because it is in the practice that you, quote unquote, improve. All you're doing as you practice is learning yourself and what you are capable of. You see, that's the thing with the principles. We hear all the time, as within, so without. As above, so below. Yet we are insistent upon saying, oh my God, what a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. As within, so without. It is a correspondence, not a coincidence. So when you apply the principles, how does one apply mentalism? Well, you can't not know that you are. You see, you may forget who you are, aka Alzheimer's. You may forget who you are. You may forget what you are. It's amnesia, where you are. But you can never forget that you are. Because the moment you say, oh my God, I forgot. Who forgot? I forgot. Who? I. You always know. You know that you forgot something. You know that you remembered. Who knows those things? I do. So you see, the principle of mentalism is coming to the understanding that you are always aware of your very self. Okay? And then what you are aware of being, you do. Eh? That's the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. Now you get the principle of vibration. Everything moves. Nothing stands still. Nothing stands still. It looks like it's still because it's moving so slow. Or it looks like it's still because it's moving so fast, but it is moving nonetheless. Nothing stands still. So, as I've told you before, if you catch yourself saying, I'm stuck, you're stuck doing the same thing you've always done. But you're not stuck for lack of movement. You're just stuck doing the same thing the same way every time. So you're not stuck. You're not idle. Do you understand? Now, polarity. Some would say polarity would be opposites or there's two. No, it is a stage. You go from seed all the way to fruit. That is polarity because it begins at one place and it goes through the stages of becoming what that seed is. So, this is why the principle of correspondence tells you, as within, so without. You become what you say you are, what you believe yourself to be. You will go through the stages of that. You can't say, I am bold and confident, and then your actions don't show it. No, you will always show the contents of yourself. It just depends on what stage you're at. Polarity, where did you originate and where will you end up? So this is why it's not a surprise. If you know your point of origin, meaning, what do you say you are? Well, then you cannot be surprised with how things turn out because that is the only way it can turn out based upon who you say that you are. That is a principle of polarity. From stage to stage. And now you get the principle of rhythm. Rhythm, there's an ebb and there's a flow. There's also compensation. How so? You swing 90 degrees to the left, you can't just come back 60. You swing 90, you come back 90. The amount of effort you put in is the payoff. This is why the saying, the bigger they are, the harder they're falling, exists. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. Or pride comes before a fall is an example of the principle of rhythm. Well, think about that pride meaning arrogance. Let's not get it twisted. The more we have a saying in Barbados, the higher the monkey goes, the more he exposes. You understand what that means? The higher the monkey goes, the more he exposes. You cannot get there without showing you. You are always going to show yourself. And the degree, the level of your arrogance has to match the level of what happens on the outside, on the outcome. Whether it would be the embarrassment, but you know what I'm saying, pride comes before the fall. So the amount of pride one has determines the level or the degree of the fall. Ponder that. This is rhythm at work every single day. So when you're doing something, you're rehearsing, you're practicing, the amount of effort you put forth, that is the reward you will get. Oh, but Angela, that doesn't work in my paycheck. It does. You are rewarded based upon how they see you. You have to be in somewhere where you are rewarded based upon how you see you. You see, if we stop and we think that the man can manipulate your paycheck, well, then he has to be able to do it because you've given him permission to do it based upon who you say you are. Oh, well, that's just the economy, Angela. That is your opinion of the economy, and you have to see the evidence of it. Now, here's the thing. It is happening en masse because we all believe it. We are all seeing the same thing. Or are we? Here's the thing. People say the economy is on a dive. Is that true? Because I look around and I see opulence, I'll tell you that. So it can't be. If it's not that way for all, and just some. And people say, oh, well, just a few. The few. Where's their mindset? That's right. Their mindset thinks, oh, look, peasants, the lot of them. And so we believe we're peasants, thus we are treated as peasants. But don't let me get started on that. But that is the principle of rhythm because it always compensates. But rhythm now takes you to cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Solo breezy. Every effect has its cause, and every cause has its effect, which would tell you that that is also polarity. The cause can only bring about that effect. That effect is only there because of that cause. So you're not going to have cause A and end up with effect C. Cause A, effect A. It always has to match. Correspondence as within, so without. So you can't say, well, I keep getting the opposite of what I want. You can never get the opposite of what you want. You always get what you are, not what you want. What you get is determined by who you say you are. Period. I don't make these rules. But if you think about it, how do you walk into a room? How do you present yourself? Well, that's on you. If you walk in there like a sheep stealer, as we call it in Barbados, with your head down, eyes down, you can't have the courage to look anybody in the eye. Oh, they will start to form judgments of you, the same judgments you hold of yourself. Yes? But that's cause and effect. You do this is going to happen. You know how we say don't start nothing, won't be nothing? Okay, cause and effect. And so when you tell them don't start nothing, won't be nothing, what's that level of intensity? Well, you're ready for a fight, right? So that's gonna tell you what kind of fight you're gonna be in. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Cause and effect. And then last but surely not least, we have the principle of gender. Oh, not to be confused with man, woman, boy, girl. Gender means generation. To create, to beget. It is to come up with an idea, which is masculine. When you come up with that idea, it does not yet have embodiment, meaning it does not exist yet. But you just have the idea. But you've got to project into something so that it has form so you can interact with it. The form. Masculine is the idea, it is the thought. Now but where do you put it? You put that image into your imagination. You know, the potter at the wheel. He's molding and shaping that clay, and you're like, what is he making? You have head nor tails about what he's making until he's done. Unless, of course, he sketches a picture. But he does what? Sketches a photo, a picture of it. From where? His imagination. He says, okay, I'm going to make this. And he sketches it out so that you can see. The paper is now feminine because he put his idea on paper. He took it from invisible to visible. Masculine is invisible. Feminine is visible because it has embodiment. That's what it is. So when you say male, what makes it male? Well, the makeup of it makes it male. The nature of it makes it male. That's how you know what it is. Male unfolds in a particular rhythm, a particular pattern. Female a particular pattern, so that when it unfolds, you can see what it is. That's the difference. So you have that recipe, those 7 principles. You have the recipe. What do you want to make? Good life. Good life. You know what? If you want to make good life, recognize who I do. See? Mentalism. What kind of life do you want? You could pop in the principle of gender right there. You say, I have this idea for my life. That's the idea. Okay, you have the idea for your life. Now you've got to project that idea into something so that it has embodiment. Where are you going to put it? In your imagination. In your mind's eye. You see what it is that you want. The same way that that guy or girl can sketch the idea from their mind's eye, whether they're an architect or not, or a potter, they sketch that idea. You You write it out. You say, okay, this is what I want to experience. Now, how does it make you feel? But that would be the vibration, wouldn't it? How does it make you feel? To move from idea to embodiment. which would be polarity. How does it make you feel? It makes you feel good, right? Feels good. It makes you feel good. It better, as opposed to, well, I heard that it worked. You can't even take hearsay into a court of law. You must bear witness. Test it out. After easy is as Neville Goddard suggests. All 7 of those principles you've just learned again have been condensed into 3 simple actions. Step 1. Recognize who and what you are at present. Don't judge it, just recognize. I am ... But now you say, step 2. I want to become more than I am. But all the time you can hear in the back of your head your mother or your father saying, you become what? Please. Child, ain't nobody in our family ever did what you tried to do. Perhaps you've heard that. Well, it is a lie. How do I know it's a lie? They're coming from memory. They've not learned anything new. They've kept seeing the same thing the same way every time. So they can't be telling you about your life. They're only telling you about theirs and their experience. Their experience is theirs, not yours. So, step 2, you define, because you're using the principle of gender as well, to say, I want to go from this invisible thing that nobody can see to this thing that everybody can see. That's what you say. You lay it out. What do you want to become? Now, to make that easier for yourself, there's one thing that you would be doing in your life that would prove to you that you have become it. There's an action you'd be doing. Either somebody will say, oh my gosh, did you hear about ... Oh, and they talk about you. Or you'd hear, congratulations. Or you would hear, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. What would you be doing if you became that you wanted to become? See that action? Yes, that is the action you put into your mind's eye. Just that one thing. Why? Because it is the end. And the unfolding, because you have the unfolding will always match the end. Why? Because you have the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. Simple as that. So what is that thing? Get that image in your mind's eye. If it would be a handshake, if it would be a hug, and remember the principle of the dancer. A dancer stands in front of the mirror and dances, watches themselves do that move, so that when they do the move and they get it wrong or they make a misstep, they say, that's not right. How do they know it's not right? Because it does not match the image of the move. So what do? They rehearse and they bend and they twist and they dip, they lean until they get it right. Because they watch themselves do it. So you have to watch yourself doing it so that you know you get it right, get it tight, okay? So when you watch yourself doing it, you're rehearsing. Remember, it's invisible at first. Nobody can see it. Nobody sees it. You do, though. So if it is invisible and you're the one who's seeing it, it is real. It is unreal to the others because they are not within your mind's eye. So when they say, that's never going to happen, where are they getting that information from? They can't be getting it from you because in your mind's eye, it is. In their mind's eye, it is not, because it is not their eye that will shape your life. It is your mind's eye that will shape your life. So, what is that one thing you'd be doing? Just one. You know what it is. You'd be doing a little dance, like Lady when she does her little dance. You'd be doing a little dance. You'd be doing something else, but it would be something that you would do that would prove to you, I made it. I did it. I brought, or I gave birth. Oh, yes, you did. You gave birth to what? What was invisible to now what is visible. You gave birth to that because it came from you, did it not? It emerged from you. So you gave birth to it. And so when you look at it and you say, I did that, you'll hoot and you'll holler and you'll say, woohoo, I did it. And you'll get excited. But here's the thing. Step 2 will bring about that excitement for you because you know how step 2 ends. There's no surprises. You don't have to hope that step 2 is going to work. You know that step 2 works based upon the very fact that you have that image of that thing that you would be doing on the inside. You begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. And you know that as long as you rehearse, you don't have a choice in the matter but to be great. Because it is the rehearsal. So when you say, I don't know what to do, you don't have to figure out what to do. The moment you decide upon that which you want to become, it is a seed. And that seed can only bear its own fruit. So all you get to do is imagine and rehearse. And then a funny thing starts to happen in step 3. Because you now know that what you imagine you're going to experience, you know this. There's a level of confidence that says, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. You have that confidence. So you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to dance naked in the moonlight. You don't have to go to the Obia man to figure it out. If you don't know what Obia is, a voodoo, eh? You don't have to go to those places to figure it out because you already know. And that's where your peace comes from. The fact that you know how it will turn out. Why? Because the law never fails. So that recipe is doing something to you internally inside your brain. It is forming a neurological pathway so that every time, for instance, you get in your car, you're going to drive the same way. Your technique will be the same because you've rehearsed that technique, so that's how you drive. If you're a baker and you're using that particular recipe, it's going to turn out the same way every time because you follow the recipe to the letter. So you know the inevitability of the outcome. That, Mr. Anderson, is the sound of inevitability. Oh, you gotta love Agent Smith, but I digress. So today, my beautiful friends, are you gonna eat that? Or are you gonna sit there and say, well, it works for them, but it doesn't work for me? How do you know it doesn't work for you? Hmm? Hmm? I mean, you've never practiced. Oh, you practiced for 3 weeks? Bless your heart. 3 whole weeks. Man, you've been living a life. Hello. You don't practice for 3 weeks. You practice so that you don't have to practice anymore, but you just do. If I give you a pair of tennis shoes and you're going to tie those laces, you think you just practice for 3 weeks? You get up and you tie those laces every day. You don't practice anymore. You do. So you don't practice for 3 weeks and go, well, it doesn't work. Well, if it's not working, look at the person doing it. Not as a judgment, darling. Never as a judgment. If your cake falls in when you're baking it, you don't just throw it away and be angry. No, 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 no. Take it out of the oven and cry a little bit because, that was a lot of ingredients and you really wanted to eat it. But, oh, it fell in. Why? Go back through the recipe and you will see why it fell in so that when you bake that cake again, it doesn't fall in again. Because if it falls in again, you've done the same thing. And I've had many a cake fall. I've had many a loaf of bread. You could render a man unconscious with those things if you hit him. But you don't get upset with that. You learn from the quote unquote supposed failure. It is not a failure. It is showing you what you have done or not done so that you can go back and do it again. That is what it does. So are you going to eat that, or are you just going to sit there and look at it and go, well, it works for somebody else, but those kinds of things don't work for me. No, everybody, look at everybody else and they're happy. Happiness is not for me. What kind of you're saying? As my grandmother, you talking just because you got a mouth. Oh, you see, practice. Begin to get that recipe. What is the recipe? What you want to make? You want to make health in your life? You want to make wealth in your life? You want to make companionship in your life? Oh, dear. What do you want to make of your life? You can see it, can you not? Now, there's one thing that you would do that would prove to you that you made this thing of your life. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. What? They couldn't stand his quote unquote arrogance. But he wasn't arrogant. He just knew what he was made of because of the way he spoke to himself. Bruce Lee did the same. Bruce wasn't out there in these streets talking about, oh my God, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is bigger than me. He's going to whoop my ass. No, he just said, I got to come correct or don't come at all. So it doesn't matter what it is you want to achieve. Can you see it in your mind's eye? Your accomplishment. Does it make you feel, ooh, girl, you can do it? Does it make you feel, try, but I don't know how that's going to tell. Which one? Because the way you feel about it will tell you exactly how it's going to turn out so that you never have to say, you see, I knew that wasn't going to happen, because you will already know. Based on what? That attitude. That when you say, well, I want to be ... in the back of your mind, you're saying, yeah, it'd be nice, but that kind of thing doesn't happen for me. Then you already know how that's going to turn out. So why even bother? Because you know how it will turn out. But if you say, ooh, I'm going to climb me Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm going to go to the mountaintop. If you know that that's how it makes you feel, well, then you know the inevitable outcome is your success. So what are you going to do today? Are you going to make it so you can taste it? Taste your success? You see, step 3 is beautiful in the fact that you taste the success that is invisible, so you know how to act when you taste the success that is visible. It can't shake you or surprise you because you knew it was coming. It can't shake you or surprise you. You just say, I knew it. With every fiber of my being, I knew it. And then you walk like a champion, talk like a champion. That's what you do. So if you're walking like a champion and talking like a champion, does that not make you a champion? If you walk like you're defeated, well, then you are. Did not, listen, and we always marvel at men like Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. You know why he said that? Because he knew the law. He knew that what a man said he was, based on the principle of correspondence, that is what he would do. Anyway, are you going to eat that? Are you going to test it out for yourself? Do you know how to test it out? Yes, you do. Step 1, recognize where you are. Don't hate it. Don't judge it. Just know where you are. And step 2, decide what you want to become. Because you can clearly see what you're not. So you don't have to complain about what you're not anymore. Just look at what you are not at present and decide from there what you want to be instead. And then begin to imagine What that one thing is that you would be doing that would say, yes, I made it. I made it through the rain. Yeah. What's that thing you'd be doing? And as you imagine it, do it. It says to experience. So to experience something, you've got to do it. So do it in your mind's eye. Rehearse it until neurologically, when you encounter that thing physiologically, you will do it in the way that you rehearsed. Period. So when the director goes, cut, you're not giving me enough emotion. He says, I want you to dig deep inside of yourself. Maybe you knew somebody who went through it. Maybe you went through it. I want those tears. You got to make me believe. So you go back to the drawing board and you begin to bring up from your memories that thing that hurt you so bad. Or that thing you were so excited about. I don't know. It just depends on how you dig it up. But you begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality. So you begin to experience those tears if you're the actor on the stage having to play that role. It is exactly the same if you want the new job, the new relationship, the new car. It is exactly the same. What would you be doing? You rehearse it. And once you have convinced yourself, how do you know? Because then you just do it. And you just do it. And then you do it. You see that? This is the thing, right? You know when you've done it, how it feels. That satisfaction. Before that thing even becomes material, you've already felt the satisfaction. So if you felt the satisfaction of it, the relief of it, the beauty of it, well, then your work is done. All you get to do now is that experience will present itself to you so you can act it out. But all you get to do is make the decision and say, this is what I want to be, and experience it in imagination. And it comes about. How long does that take, Angela? Every Habakkuk 2 verse 3 that tells us every flower has its appointed hour. Or every vision, sorry. Every vision has its appointed hour. It will ripen, it will flower. If it be long, wait. It will not be late. That's what it tells you. Every vision has its appointed hour. And if you watch it long enough, a chick has 21 days. That's its appointed hour. 21 days because somebody counted. An elephant, doesn't she have like 18 months? Whew, I don't envy her. Humans have 10 months. 40 weeks. It's 10 months. So every vision has its appointed hour. It will ripen. It will flower. If it be long, you see, it only feels long because you keep asking, are we there yet? And you're not practicing. So practice, and before you know it, you're here. Anyway, Solo Breezy, I see you. I know Miss Tiffany and Javion had to get on to school and to work. The better man is in the house. And there's somebody else here, more than likely my lovely Miss Liza. Miss Liza, did you get it? Yes, did, I'm sure. We've got Zarian in the house, Miss McQueen in the house, Big Mike in the house. Oh my. KZ, my sweet Ray Ray. Michael is here. Oh, Substance. Hey, girl. I see you. It's been a long time. Hello. They call me Yellow Mellow. I see you, Mellow. And, Commander is in the house. I see you, baby. And I don't know who Andrew is. Andrew could be real. Andrew could not be real. But I don't know. Master Sanker, I don't know you either, but welcome to the space nonetheless. I see you all. I see you all. Thank you all for being here today. Okay. You know I love you. And I trust that what you heard today will assist you and take you from the passive observer to the what? Eager and deliberate participant. You see, I will say this because you're in the room. I'm not going to call your name, but I'll say this because you're in the room. If you don't know the story of Joseph, Joseph was, it's a Bible story, so buckle up. Joseph was in Potiphar's house. Remember, he was sold into slavery by his brothers, right? Because allegedly he was his father's favorite and they couldn't handle that. So he was sold into slavery and he proved himself to be quite valuable. So Potiphar said, listen, I could use a man with your caliber in my house. But you see, Potiphar's wife, this heifer, she had an eye for Joseph because Joseph was young and strong and handsome, you know. And she said, oh, Joseph, darling, why don't you meet me in my chambers for a good time, sugar? Joseph was like, no, but thanks. You look good, though, but thanks. I'm not going to disrespect your husband, but thank you for the offer nonetheless. And he tried to get away, and she grabbed his coat and tore it. And comes in, she goes, Potiphar, you'll never guess what happened. Oh my God. Joseph tried to take advantage of me, and I was so scared and helpless of you. And Potiphar, crazy son of a motherless goat, he says, Joseph, how could you? I trusted you with my innermost secrets. And he threw Joseph in jail. Now, Joseph, as I said, was a man of good character. He had some mad skills at interpreting dreams. Potiphar had this dream that he could not interpret. His wise men could not interpret. Hmm? But before that happened, Joseph met two men in prison while he was there. He met the baker and the cupbearer of the kings, of Potiphar's. The baker said, I had this dream, and the birds were eating all of the bread. And the cupbearer said, well, my dream, I was pouring the wine for the king again, for Potiphar. So Joseph says, well, when you get back, Mr. Baker man, you will be beheaded and the birds will eat your flesh. He didn't like that. But the cupbearer, he says, you will serve the king once more. And they were like, oh my God. So time passes and these two were released. And Joseph says, you better remember me. Remember to the king for me. They go upstairs. The baker, he was beheaded, of course. And the cupbearer, he started to serve the king again. And Potiphar had his dream. 7 fat calves were in the field, and 7 skinny calves came along and ate them up. He had 7 fat, lovely heads of grain. And then 7 heads of skinny, scraggly grain ate them up too. Potiphar was at a loss. He couldn't figure it out. He goes, is there anybody left who can interpret dreams? The cupbearer goes, I know a man. And Joseph was summoned. And he said, well, Potiphar, tell me the dream. He tells Potiphar. Potiphar tells Joseph the dream. And Joseph said, well, that's easy. You're going to have 7 years of plenty. And in those 7 years, save up as much as you can, because then you will have 7 years of famine. And sure enough, that's what happened. Okay? But the reason I told this story is because Joseph was in prison. He didn't do nothing wrong. It appeared as if he did. And he was in prison. And it just seemed like it dragged on and on and on. That's what it felt like. Year after year, he was there. But you see, Joseph did not grow faint of heart. You know why he didn't grow faint of heart? Because he knew who and what he was. He knew who and what he was. And he knew that justice would always be served. He knew it. He did not waver from that. And his vision had its appointed hour. See, if he had gone back before that time, we don't know what would have happened. But the story goes Potiphar needed an interpreter, it was required. And so it came to mind of the cupbearer who an interpreter was. The vision has its appointed hour. It will ripen, it will flower, it will not be late. If it seems long, it's not late. Just you hold fast in knowing that your vision will come to fruition. And sometimes where we are in life seems so dark and heavy. But do not grow weary, my beautiful friends. Why? This little light of mine, you have a light within yourself. And if you draw near to that light, it will illuminate your pathway. And you will be summoned. You will be summoned and given your freedom because it was always yours in the first place. It was never taken from you. It just has the illusion of being taken. So with that, my beautiful friends, I trust that you will go forth and you will practice making this recipe that we call life. Okay. Anyway, I am way over time, so I can't hold you up. But you know where to find me. You can slide into my DMs. Come correct or don't come at all. I just got to say that. Right? And you know I love you. And I appreciate each and every one of you for waking up this early and coming and hanging out with me and Lil Bitten Lady. I wonder if she laid the egg already. I'll find out. But anyway, I love you all. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 love. And I will see you on the morrow right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to spend that time with us. All right? You know I always close Fanbase last because I'm like so out of time. I got to get on the road. Anyway, I love you. Peace out.